Hello, everyone, and welcome to the public school picks for the LHSAA brackets. And we will start with 1A, where once again, I have gone through and pre-picked the ones where I haven't felt like making an explanation because, well, after looking at it, it's like they were pretty obvious. Now, for the first of the picks I'm going to make here, so I went look and I'm gonna pick Arcadia. Now, since it's 1A and there's not a lot of team in the class, once you start getting to a certain point, it's a lot of not very good. They're 3-7. They're 1-7, but that 1-7 comes with one win by a touchdown. Like, just that alone, plus the fact that they're going to have to make a far drive, prompts me to pick them. Arcadia. I went, look, these two played each other to a one-touchdown game. And this is one where I could easily be wrong. I think East Beauregard wins again. East Iberville was the team of the first matchup. This is East Beauregard. And that's about the extent I'm going to explain it. And here, I want to take a look at their schedules. And again, I'm factoring in the far trip. I think the higher seed wins. This one, I was already kind of familiar with their schedules. They're 5-5, but they faced a very weak schedule. But a lot of the teams they beat were on the level of this 18 seed Gaydon. And I'm picking this Lena team to win a playoff game. And if you followed 1A for any length of time, you know that's an accomplishment over there. Okay, now moving on to the next round. I'm going to go quick pick some games that are just obvious. So give me a minute. Okay, so to the ones that I have left. This one, I think they're 6-4 on the year. They came in 5th place in their district, and that's because there's 5 teams in their district, including the 4 seed down there. There's 4 teams in their district that I consider to be teams that really have a pulse, and they lost badly to all of them. Also, that because of how big their district is, they were only able to play like 1 or 2 teams outside of district, and neither of those teams have a pulse. This Basile team, they've got a little bit of pulse in them, and even though this is a far drive, this is the first far drive upset I'm picking. But I don't really consider it an upset because, this team is a 1-point loss from being champs of their own district in their own right. They've had a good season. They haven't faced the strongest schedule, but it's been a stronger schedule than what they've played. And they've played better against good competition than this team has anyway. This is what I'm going to come back to. This is a game that's going to be interesting. Here. Now, they're the 3 seed. They have 1 loss on the year. But, oh my goodness, they play like everyone to a 1-touchdown game. Like, everyone the past few weeks. has been in a 1-touchdown game with them, good or bad. And this team's kind of middle of the pack. And you know what? I think it's time to spring another upset. Again, could be wrong here, but again, they've been cutting it awfully close a few times lately. And I think it finally comes back to bite them in the playoffs. Now here, this is an interesting matchup. They have a much better record, but against a much weaker schedule. This team, White Castle, has, like, in the early part of the season, they played some good opponents and got blown off the football field. They haven't really played much of anybody, and when they have played much of anybody, they've lost. Now, their issue is, they can't really, what I've heard, they can't really throw the ball well, but their quarterback can run like nobody's business. I think that's going to be enough to win this game and move them on to the quarters. And now moving on to not moving on to the quarters yet. This one I think is truly a toss-up. It's about an hour drive. This school has a lot more tradition, but they've come into the playoffs limping. But this team, they're 5-3, and like a lot of other teams in this division, haven't beat much anybody really. Again, I'm not sure what either team has, but I mean, in any case, I'm having a tough time deciding. So give me a second. I'm actually checking their schedules on the fly. But I mean, I really think either way that I tend to think it would be a close game, and traditionally they should be able to blow them out, but that's just not the kind, that's just not the kind of team that West St. John has this year. Oh, for a second, I thought they had a common opponent. But looking at it, I'm going to pick the lower seed in this one, and I think it's about a touchdown either way. So, yeah. Okay. Now, since this is going by a little slowly, I'm going to once again quick pick some of these games, and I will explain the ones that I think will be interesting. Okay. In this one, they're going to have to make a far travel, and they're like 2 or 3 touchdowns better anyway. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. I already said they can't really throw. They're going to take advantage of that with their team speed. And, wow, I don't think any... so, really, when I look at it, I don't think any of these will be particularly close. Now, semifinals, they just played each other and they won in blowout fashion. I don't think it's going to be quite a blowout, but again, they've got a speed advantage. Size, they're both small 1A schools. I think they move on. Here, both of these teams have had very similar seasons. They played tough schedules to start the year and struggled. But then down the stretch, they made some adjustments and started to find their groove. This team, I haven't mentioned yet, is the 3-time defending state champions in this division. and they're about to move up next year. So this is really everyone's last shot at them. And this is really a coin flip kind of game, I think. I mean, it's a contrast in styles. They're more of a spread offense that's going to have more speed on their team. They're going to run it down your throat, probably play more fundamentally sound defense. But I think they win. I think Oak Grove wins by a touchdown late. And they go back to the Dome. But Homer's faced Oak Grove a few times and been dominated. I'm thinking about it. I feel that this year it's going to be different. You know, for Homer here, it's going to really help that in week 8 they had to face a better, what's basically a better version of what they ran. And yes, they got blown off the field in that one. But, having to see that, seeing, ways they can adjust is really going to be an advantage, especially since in that one, they might have had a speed advantage, but it wasn't a big speed advantage. Also, I'm talking about their game against Union Parish in 3A, who you'll see later, but they will have a speed advantage in this game. Absolutely. I even think against this Logansport team, they'd have a speed advantage. And so, with that said, Homer finally takes the championship trophy home, and that's all for the 1A bracket.